Hi everybody. I hope you all are well and happy. For those that are new to this channel, I'd like to share something with you. My reason for making these videos. The one that you're looking at now, Older Women, Younger Men, it's in celebration of our 35th anniversary. We've been together that many years, and I am a woman. I'm 80 years old, and my husband now is 61. And when the first video I did, and if you haven't seen it, I really think it would be helpful if you were to watch it. It's Older Woman, Younger Man, a love story, and it tells how Brian and I met. And I think you'll find it interesting. That seems to be the most popular video that I've made about the older woman, younger man situation. And my whole reason for doing this is I want to be helpful. I want to share information that's useful to you. I mean, there are so many relationships now where younger men and older women are getting together. One of the statistics I just read the other day, one survey said that 91% of younger men want to date older women. 91% and 81% of older women want to date younger men. Now, when we started out in 1985, that's when Brian and I met, I was 44, I think, at the time, and he was about 25, something like that. We're 19 years apart. It was very unusual. In fact, we even went on a TV show. I think it was in San Francisco. We went on a television show with other couples because it was so rare to see young couples, the May-December relationships together. And since that time, I've learned a lot, you can imagine. And we've had a wonderful, wonderful life together. It's just been magnificent, almost magical in many ways. We truly have a deep, loving relationship. And that's my reason for making these videos, is I want to share what I've learned and if I can be of help, because you wouldn't believe the amount of comments I get. I get comments every single day. And I've done other kinds of videos. I have several videos on my channel, but the older woman, younger man ones, they're off the roof. And I think the first video I did of this topic, it has about 3.5 million views. I mean, people really are, society is changing. People are more open to this, and there are reasons for it. And before I started, in fact, I just want to throw this out. I don't think I do this very often, but when I make a video that's about our story, it's usually fun. It's easy for me because I've lived it. This one, our 35 years together in celebration of that, has been rather difficult. There's probably many reasons for that, COVID being one of them, because I, like the rest of us, have had a lot of issues, all kinds of issues with people dying and ill health. I haven't had COVID myself, nor my husband, but it's been in our family, and we've lost very good friends to COVID. And so I have not been myself. That's one reason. But two, I find this a little bit more challenging today, so bear with me, will you, please? There's so much to cover, and I just don't want to babble on and on about things we did, or it's not like that. I want to share truths and how I feel we have such a special relationship, and you can too. Because I'm asked these questions all the time. How did you, well, okay, I'll tell you what the top questions are. Number one, family acceptance. Two, the second one is, do you want children? I mean, often the older woman might already have children. And maybe the younger man wants them and the older woman doesn't. And so children is an issue, and I'm going to go into that. And then a lot of people worry about being with a younger man, maybe that people will think that he wanted a mother. And in our case, Brian has a mother whom he loves dearly. And he didn't want a mother. He wanted a partner and a love. But that's a big question. And then the other question is sex. What happens as you get older? So in this video, I'm going to try to cover all that. I really am. But I want to start with some feelings that I have that make a good relationship. Actually, it's not just an older woman, younger man relationship. It's for all relationship, and that is love, trust, and respect. And when I first met Brian, it was, if you watch any of my I have about 4 other older woman, younger man videos. If you watch any of those, I tell different stories about how we met and what we did, but I remember feeling this. When I first met him, he was my neighbor across the street in San Francisco, and he came over the first time we actually got together after, well, you watch the first video, watch the one that is called Older Woman, Younger Man, A Love Story, because that tells you the unique experience I had. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about our first time, when he called me up and wanted to come over after a couple of days later. And I was doing my nails. You know, I lived alone, and I had already been married and divorced, and it was not a happy marriage at all. And I didn't really know about dating or having people hang out. And he wanted to come over. And I said, well, I'm doing my nails. He said, I don't care. I'll just come and hang out with you. And so he did. But this is the feeling I had, and it came over me. It was very strong. It was as if he was very warm, considerate, and kind. And I had never been treated that way. And it did remind me of my dear uncle. I had an uncle and an aunt I was very close with, actually closer than my own mother. And my father died when I was 9, so I didn't have any reference to a father really, because he'd been sick for 5 years. So I was kind of lost. Even though I was 44 at the time, I really wasn't experienced in loving relationships. And I noticed that about Brian right away, that he was very kind and he listened to me and he was considerate. And then when he started telling me about, you know, how he felt about his family and his mom and his sisters, and it was so beautiful. I really respected him right away. These are feelings I remember. I actually remember that. I was just blown away by that. Now, I don't know that I would call it love at first sight, because I'm not sure that, I don't know, some people have said they meet their partner or their soulmate and they knew it was love at first sight. I don't know that I knew that, but I certainly did feel a warmth and a friendship right away, like he cared. So that was really important. And it only took about, well, that wasn't a real date. That was just he came over. And then our first date that we had was on the following Saturday, and I didn't have a car, and Brian's car was broken. It was being fixed, or he needed a new one, or I don't really remember, but we didn't have any vehicles. So we took the bus, and we took the bus from where I lived in the Mission, or it was sort of between the Mission and Castro. We took the bus out to the ocean to a restaurant where you eat with your fingers, an Indian restaurant. It was fantastic. And I remember thinking and feeling, this is so important, because I don't know that people pay attention to what they're feeling when they first get together. I mean, I've read and I've heard that you think it's a sexual attraction. Well, it probably was. I'm sure it was. But it was so much more than that. It was as if we belonged together. It was like I knew him already. And in our case, I've had past life readings, but I didn't know this then. This is 6 years ago. We have been together many times in lifetimes. And so I think for us, it was kind of easy to just feel comfortable. But often when you start a relationship, you're so nervous, or you want to make a good impression, or and it's natural that you want to look nice, and all those things. Both guys and women do this, so that you're more into your head. You're not as much into your heart or your feelings. You just want to act right. It's like an act. You don't mean, it's just, it happens to everybody. It especially happens when you're younger. And I think I've read that younger men are attracted to older women because as you age and as you've gone through these different experiences, women tend to have more wisdom, more confidence. They're able to laugh more. They're not reaching for their career. I'm being general, of course I am, but I think it's fairly true. And before I started this video, I did a lot of research, and I read what younger men think about women and older women, and they've said they're more relaxed, they laugh more, I can play, they're not, they don't expect as much. And when you're younger, often you don't know. You just want a partner. I know, again, I'm being general. I do think the average person wants a partner. I really feel that. Not everybody. No. I have girlfriends that are single. They've been single for years, but I think it's the average person does. So I'm sharing what it was like for us. Now, that was in the beginning. And I actually have done a video on our wedding, because a year later we got married, and we knew we wanted to be married. But that year, together, we lived together. Brian moved in about, oh my gosh, I think he must have moved in about 5 months. 5? What am I talking about? He moved in within 2 months, and we never were separated after that. We truly weren't. But that year that we weren't married, we learned so much about each other. And I feel personally it's really important. Because we were both free to leave. He didn't come, he came over to my house and brought one TV and a bed. I didn't even have a TV. So, yeah, it was, we could have separated easily if we didn't get along. We didn't, and in today's world, that's very common. Some people don't even need to get married. You don't. I'm just saying, for us, it was very important. And what I noticed right away was we both had the same idea about monogamy. We really did. These were all things that we talked about right away. And communication is really important in a relationship. It truly is. And we were very honest about it. We both wanted a family. And I was pretty old. And we tried, we went to an infertility doctor, and it wasn't meant to be for us. So we adopted a child. After I skipped over the wedding part, but I did a whole video about our magnificent wedding. But we adopted a baby together, and that was a real bonding experience for us because we had to make decisions. It took 3 years to adopt a child. It was not easy, but it was so worth it because when we did adopt a little baby, she was a girl. She was the light of our life. And we spent many, many years, because we were now a family. But we talked about it, and I never had children. So we didn't have the issues, but some of you might. So it's good in the very beginning to be honest about what you're, do you want kids? And you can make it work if it's meant to be. I truly believe that you can make it work. Please bear with me if I skip around because truly, I'm just trying to share things that we've gone through that might help you. And one of the questions that, this doesn't seem like a consistent story, but I'm doing the best I can here today. One of the things that people always want to know, they don't always ask, is about sex. Because when you get older, I've heard that sex isn't as plentiful, or you're not able, or whatever. But in our case, we were extremely attracted to each other from the very beginning. And we had a really passionate, and still do, we have a very passionate sex life. And as I said, I'm 80 and he's 61, but it can happen beautifully if that's what you both want. And we did. But again, we've always been very honest and open about our needs. And that's really important. And one thing I have noticed as I've gotten older, I've had a lot of, I was hit by a car it's been about 20 years ago, or more than that. It was early in our marriage. I was hit by a car before we even adopted our child. And it was awful. And I was hit in my hip. And then it took 15 years, but I had a hip replacement. And Brian took care of me. And he worked. And he was getting 2 master's degrees. And he was a coach. No, I'm sorry, that wasn't. Yeah, the surgery was when we had a child. It was when we had moved from San Francisco. And my point is, you're called upon in relationships, and especially when you get older and things happen. And I've also had a spinal laminectomy from doing Zumba at the age of 70, and you're not, I didn't know it, but it's a too strenuous and hard discipline. When you're older, you shouldn't be doing that, according to the surgeon. And I had, my spine went out of joint. I had, all the nerves came apart, and it was awful. But Brian took care of me again. He's done this many times. And now he's had a few injuries, and I'm taking care of him. So when you love each other and when you care, you're called upon to help each other in love. But when you're really committed, which is necessary in a long-term relationship and in a loving relationship, you do it. And I'm grateful for this. I truly am. I think something I've noticed, and I really believe, that marriage is like a discipline. And so I've heard that expression that it's work. Well, it's a form of work, I think, but it's not one that isn't enjoyable. But what I mean in discipline, when you're a musician or an artist, you practice, you work really, really, really hard to reach your goals. Well, in a marriage, if you're honest about it, you do the same thing, because you're two individuals. Each of us have our own desires, our own way of being. And in my case, I always had girlfriends, lots of girlfriends. I still do. And I depend on those girlfriends. I love them very much because I think women to women are different than men to men. And Brian has a lot of male friends. He goes with them, travels with them. And I travel with my girlfriends, and we do things. I think it's really important. But when I say discipline, it's a calculated, I really think about what I'm doing. We plan events. And we're very, very lucky, Brian and I'm hoping that the rest of you find this yourself. We happen to both love sports. In meaning, we're fans of, we happen to love the 49ers, and we love the Warriors, and we love watching the games together. And Brian and I love traveling together. You'll find this when you're really in love. But what I feel is really important, the closeness that you have when you share a marriage is probably one of the most precious things you can have when you're intimate with another person and loving. And I really hope I hope that you have that, or you're able to. And if you're interested, at the end of this video, I'm going to post a lot of pictures from our life, our family life over the years. And I want to add one thing that Brian and I have shared recently. Our daughter is now a young man, a transgender man. And this is something very new in our family, and we're very proud of him for this. And these are experiences, I've shared the illness thing, all of us have these, but when you really love each other, it works. It doesn't matter how old you are. And I've heard that so many times, that age is just a number. It truly is, because what Brian and I experience as in this relationship is no different than any other couple, except, yes, I am getting older, but it doesn't feel that way. It feels like we're more in love than we ever were. And I want you guys to have that too. You keep writing me. You know, I get comments every day, questions, you know, what about this, what about that? And I'll be happy to share it. I really will. But for today, I hope you're having a great life. Keep up the good work. And like I said, I'm going to post some gallery pictures at the end. Blessings to all of you.